Good afternoon, everyone. We are convening the Joint Committee on Commerce, Consumer Protection and Commerce, and the Committee on Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs. It is Thursday, February 19th, 2026, 2:01 p.m. in Conference Room 329. We have one item on the agenda, HB 2384 HD1, relating to student-athlete compensation. Vice Chair.
First up on the testifier list is University of Hawaii at Manoa Department of Athletics. In support, sorry.
Good afternoon, Chair Matayoshi, Chair Tarnas, Vice Chairs, members of the committee. My name is Matt Elliott. I'm the Director of Athletics at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. We are here in support of HB 2384. This is a bill that provides a framework for name, image, and likeness policies here in our state. Name, image, and likeness started about 5 years ago in the college athletics landscape, but only as of July 1st of this current year are we allowed to engage in name, image, and likeness relationships with our student athletes directly. So we are very supportive of this bill because it does things like create policies. It aligns both institutional expectations with the state expectations in terms of how we do education for our student athletes, how we deal with financial literacy, how we regulate agents, and that we have transparency in reporting around NIL. We've also made a budget request in support of the NIL program at our university, and that budget request is to allow us to engage in direct NIL relationships with our student athletes. At a hearing last week, we had approximately 15 to 20 student athletes submit testimony in writing, and then some of them were able to appear as well, and I know that is on the record for you. I apologize, some of the testimony we submitted to this committee was a little bit late, but the student athletes speak to what it means to represent the University of Hawaii, how it has allowed them to develop athletically and academically, and we very much believe that through these programs it will help prepare them to be the future leaders in our state. So we're here to answer your questions, and we're very grateful for your support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up we have University of Hawaii at Hilo Department of Athletics in support on Zoom.
Aloha Chairs Machiyoshi and Thomas, Vice Chairs, and members of the committee. This is Patrick Ian, Director of Athletics at University of Hawaii at Hilo. Nice to join you virtually. At this time, we will stand on our submitted written testimony in support of HB 2384, and we'll certainly stay online and be available for any questions that you may have. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Aloha.
Thank you. MK Advocacy Group in support in person. Not present. Anna Tui Asosoko, individual in support. Anyone else in person or on Zoom who'd like to testify?
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Cliff LeBoy. I'm with the Ironworkers Stabilization Fund. And I wish they had this when I was playing at the university. I would have made $1 million a year. But I just want you guys to know that I stand here representing the Ironworkers and all our 9,000 members, and we strongly support this bill. One statement besides that, I wish the NCAA would organize this thing better when they first launched the NIL money. It made it very hard for schools of our level. But without this, we might as well shut down the program. We ain't gonna have any football. It's gonna be horrible. And the people in the state of Hawaii is not used to watching horrible football at home. So let's give them a break and see where it goes from here. Support them, they need the money. And you guys all have a nice day. Any questions, just I'll be here to answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Mike Yosua, submitted written testimony, but I just wanted to make a few other comments. I played football at University of Hawaii from 1998 to 2001. I like to say those were the glory years because we were winning back then. We finally got to the point where we have another winning season. We have another winning team. We have a product that people want to see. People want to be able to go and watch the games or watch them on TV. Nowadays, NIL is just a fact of the matter. You have to have NIL to recruit and maintain kids. We're one of the states where I think per capita, we probably are one of the best football states in the whole country. You know, we produce talent here, and it's important that we be able to keep those talented players here in Hawaii, not just for football, but for all sports. I think NIL is a reasonable investment to be able to make the program continue to grow and be able to provide what we need to retain good talent here in Hawaii. On the flip side, I also represent kids in NIL deals, not here in Hawaii, but in other states. And I've seen a lot of what happens when they don't have good representation. It's easy for a kid that is 18 years old that is now making some real money to get taken advantage of. So I think this bill provides a good balance of providing the appropriations for the investment in NIL, but also put some parameters around education and providing the support the kids need to make good financial decisions. So I strongly support this bill, and I hope that you'll pass it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other testifiers on HB 2384 HD1? Just noting that we had an additional 27 individuals submit testimony in support. Members, any questions?
I have a question. For UH, please. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your testimony. So UH, you have athletics, but you also have the performing arts. What makes the actors, the performing arts students at UH different than the athletic students at UH in terms of helping them, giving them resources such as direct payment?
What's changed for us is that NIL is now part of college sports. It didn't exist before. For almost a century of college athletics, student athletes had to be amateurs. So they pursue their academic career and they compete in athletics, but they weren't allowed to receive any compensation. That has now changed, and it's changed as a result of numerous steps in society. So legislation in certain states, litigation in many different courts, and now this is what has changed. This is what is different, and what makes student athletes a little bit different than other students is that in order for us to compete, in order for college athletics to thrive in this state in a way that we believe is really valuable to the overall community, NIL is just now part of the program, and we have to fund that.
That's a follow-up question. Regarding, you mentioned the landscape has changed, and I think you're referring to possibly a case that now allows or prescribes universities to make sure they're not exploiting these student athletes by profiting from their names, image, and likeness. But in fact, the minimum threshold is that, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that they can't profit, so they need to send the money to the student athletes, the profit, right? So do we actually, given our television broadcasting, I don't know, whatever kind of revenue you generate or the university generates from these sports games, is there a profit? Is there a profit?
The tricky part is some sports do generate a profit, but most do not. So we have a couple of programs here that on an annual basis, like our football team, like our volleyball team, that do generate more than they cost. And that is really what you're referring to as part of this House settlement, which is House v. NCAA, is that the courts essentially have concluded that we should be sharing those dollars back to our student athletes. So that's what we're recommending as well.
So and then my other question is regarding the bidding that could happen. I mean, how are we ever gonna outbid these other universities? You know what I mean? If we start this bidding war, and are you gonna keep coming back asking for more and more? Because I feel like it's just gonna keep going up, and I don't know how we're ever gonna compete.
And I hear you. I completely agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, we have created an outstanding program here in Hawaii. Not just what's happening right now today, but we have an incredible history of athletics being successful here in many different sports. Our culture is strong. Our fans are incredible in terms of supporting our student athletes. And this is a world-class institution. So we have so many things to offer that it's not just solely about the dollars. We have to also, though, be able to add potential for NIL for our students to stay. And when they think about the coaching, they think about the community, they think about representing the state, all of that factors into the decisions. We can't compete with every school. There are absolutely going to be schools that have more money than us, but to compete at our level, to be champions in the Mountain West and the Big West, and do what we want to do and what we think is achievable, I think we absolutely can do that.
Members, any questions?
Yeah, I've got some questions if my other members are done. How much money has been raised through private? You said NIL started about 5 years ago. Have you in that 5-year period of time been raising money for NIL payments?
So we weren't allowed to. It was only as of July 1st that we've been able to do this fundraising and provide these payments. So we're getting close to $2 million. We're between 1.5 and 2 in terms of what we've raised since July 1st for NIL payments that we are making this fiscal year. Our target is to try to raise $3 million total for this fiscal year. Our ask is for next fiscal year.
So that explains why you didn't need policies in place before, because you weren't actually allowed to until July 1st. Is that fair?
For the most part, this is why it's pressing now. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you said your target to raise through this fiscal year was how much?
About $3 million is our target, and we're doing that through the private sector this year.
Okay, but I believe the ask here, I mean, it's a blank amount right now, but from what I've been told through your testimony and others, is that you're asking for $5 million for NIL. The other part of your testimony, $10 million, is $10 million for the entire athletic program?
Right. That's right.
So you're asking for another $5 million on top of that. That seems like a large chunk of, well, it seems like a lot of money, because you guys are only raising $3 million. Your goal is to raise $3 million on the private side, which means the state is coming in at almost double what the private side is contributing to this. But also that seems like a 50% increase basically in the amount of money we're giving to UH athletics. It's kind of staggering. I kind of just want you to comment on that.
Okay, and the $10 million ask is really for the operational sides of running the day-to-day business. So right now we get a couple $1 million for travel expenses. Travel expenses are over $5 million for us as an athletics department, and I'm sure we all understand why that is. We would like to increase the nutrition and the food that we're able to provide to our student athletes so that we can fuel them to be competitive. We'd like to invest more in academic support, technology, physical health, mental health. So that's where the $10 million comes from in terms of bolstering those programs to create the best possible student.
And I'm not commenting on whether the $10 million is well spent.
Yes.
All those things sound like very worthy goals. It's the $5 million that I'm concerned about. It seems like a lot of money. And unlike the other $10 million being spent, this $5 million would be, I believe, the bill doesn't have language explicit for that. I think we're intending to put language in there for that. But my understanding is that $5 million, most of it is going to go towards paying student athletes directly through NIL payments. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so this is public money, this is taxpayer money going directly towards student athletes, not necessarily for books or tuition or housing. I mean, a student athlete could take this money and they could go to Vegas and gamble it away. I mean, is that fair?
They could. It would be their choice. We intend to provide financial literacy courses and other support around the decision making so that the money is either saved or well spent. But it would be their choice. It would be their money.
And I do really appreciate that part. The part of this bill that requires the University of Hawaii to set forth policies to give more financial literacy, tax information, financial management, agent representation. I think that's all great. I really like us funding that. That's not us giving taxpayer money directly in basically cash to students. To me, I mean, I understand that it's more of a contractual relationship that you'd be entering into them with. Do you see any procurement issues coming up with this?
So we are in that contractual relationship right now. So we already have these NIL deals with our student athletes that has been fully vetted through the general counsel's office, and those arrangements would be consistent going into next year. Again, we are fundraising to meet these obligations right now. What we are hoping going into the next year 2 of this, it is more of a private and public combination partnership where we continue to raise dollars and we have some funding from the state. The reality is that if we don't have NIL dollars, then our teams will not perform. As student athletes, we will not be able to retain and recruit student athletes to be competitive programs. And when the teams are successful, we do believe the return on investment is significant. So you're right that it is a $5 million request of public funds to put into the program. We are investing right now also privately funded in an economic impact statement and study. And we believe that will show it. We have one from 2014 that shows a significant benefit to the state economically, both in jobs that are created, dollars that are then spent in the state by all the people that are connected to college athletics here when they come to Hawaii or when they're working in this field. And we want to update that. We're hoping to have that by the end of next month, and then we can show some real data that we do believe this is a really wise investment for the overall good of the state.
So for a university of like size and maybe like athletic aspirations, is 8 million, I mean, if we give you 5, you meet your goal and raise another 3, that's 8 million total. Where are we in terms of other universities of about the same athletic prowess?
So the 3 million is for this year, so that'll be spent, that'll be gone. As we look into next year, to your point, if we could raise another 3 or whatnot, that would make us competitive at the level that we're at. The schools who are at the Power 4 conferences, so the SEC, they've already all committed to a $20.5 million investment in NIL across the board. All 60 of those schools have said that's what they're doing, and then some of them are actually doing dollars on top of that 20 million. But at the group of 6 level, which is where we're at in the Mountain West, we believe the right ratio is around that $5 million number for next year.
Are other states contributing public dollars to NIL for their public universities?
We're one of the first universities to come in to ask for it for next year. But what they're doing is figuring out how to supplement their budgets, if you will, to cover all of their costs. Whether or not they're putting the dollars directly into NIL, we will learn that as we go into these future years. But one of our peer institutions, New Mexico, who's in our conference, their legislature just allocated an additional $12 million to New Mexico and $11 million to New Mexico State in this legislative cycle. So that's a school that's in the Mountain West with us, and they can use that for their department.
To athletics?
To athletics, okay. Exactly. Yes.
And then you said that that money, that 12 million, is able to be used for direct NIL payments to their athletes?
No, I think it's for them to supplement their department and their needs, but then they can use, they would be able to use their other dollars that they fundraise for NIL. At the end of the day, there are a lot of expenses, whether operational.
So you're saying it's just kind of, I mean, they're shifting it around, right? They'll give them $12 million instead of raising money to fix the stadium, they'll put that money in there instead and then use that fundraise money to pay NIL payments. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but it just it shows that there's I was just trying to say that there's a comparable institution where the state has now said that we will invest additional dollars into your program.
And that's a little, I mean, it's a little bit of accounting there, but why are we doing it the same way? Why are we doing $5 million to be directly given to student athletes? Why aren't we doing the same thing other universities are doing with that payment structure and scheme?
I think that we have tried to be basically outline what we think the economic model is for us to be successful in this state going forward. If we had an additional $10 for our overall operations and an additional $5 million for our NIL account, then we believe we can meet our objectives, which are to graduate our student athletes, give them outstanding experiences, bring our state together and support these programs and have a good NIL program and graduate students at a very high level. I don't want to forget about that because the NIL dollars play a role in having students make the decision to stay. And that is absolutely our objective, is for students to stay here, be here all 4 years and get their degrees. So we've just tried to outline what we think is the right budget for this department to meet those objectives.
Understandably, and it might be somewhat of a facade, but I am uncomfortable spending public taxpayer dollars to go directly to student athletes in that sense. Maybe I'll get over it, but it sounds like other universities are not doing that directly. They're funding it through, like you said, with I believe New Mexico. I'm just wondering why the payments are structured this way in Hawaii rather than in other states.
Yeah. The payments are structured the same. The university is doing direct contracts with the students. It's just how you get the money into the.
They're using money raised through booster clubs or whatnot rather than us appropriating money directly.
The direct appropriation is different. There's an institution out there that they reported they lost $70 million last year.
So your goal is to raise $3 million for NIL, or is that $3 million total that you're raising through all boosters? Through the
$3 million for NIL. We've already raised about $2 million for our operations, and that's standard in terms of what our expectations have been to be able to just fund our programs.
Are you able to raise $8 million from? Is that a normal amount that you could raise from a booster club?
We've already exceeded this year what we have normally raised in our previous years.
Okay, but how much is normal to raise? For the booster club?
I think our number last year overall, so we weren't raising money for NIL, but overall we raised in the $4 million range.
Okay.
So we've already exceeded that total for our operations and NIL for this year.
Thank you. Any other members of my committee?
So Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs members, just limited questions if we could, because we do have to move over to have our hearing. So members, Rep. Shimizu.
Thank you for what you do. I'm a huge sports fan. I wish we had enough money to give everyone more. But you know, as I think about the student athlete and they're getting this money, do they have any like financial guidance or protection, you know, to help them in their windfall, so to speak?
That's right. Yeah, so we already do some education. We have programs throughout the year on financial literacy, but it is our commitment that going into this next year, we will build an even more robust financial literacy program, yes.
Okay, yeah, we wouldn't want to see them go off the rails with all this money. Yeah, thank
We
you.
agree.
Thank you, Chair.
Rep. Cochran.
Hi, thank you. So, am I getting this right? Our universities are Division II, considered Division II? Is that a type of category or something?
So UH Hilo competes at Division II, UH
Okay.
Manoa competes at Division I.
Okay. And the funding you're seeking is for here, Manoa?
Correct.
Okay. Cause I saw the prohibitions on Division IIs, so I just wanted to clarify. This is not asking for, okay, that's all. Thank you.
Other questions, Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs members? Just one question, just to clarify. So my understanding is that no other state is spending public money directly on NIL payments to athletes.
I guess what I would say is, this is our first year.
No, I'm just, other states. And I know it's the
that's
first
true
year,
across.
but is your understanding the same as mine, is that public money in other states is going to defray costs for the programs, the athletic programs, but it's not going directly for payments for the NIL.
Yes, I don't know of anybody who's specifically allocated the dollars in that way. That's correct.
Yeah. I mean, this is a topic really for the finance committee to consider. Is that an appropriate use of public monies and how is it structured? From the Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs side of things, you know, I'm looking at how you're protecting the rights of the individuals, student athletes, and you know, and how it's being reported. I'm comfortable with the way you've set this up in the bill. My question is, is the bill consistent with your current policies that you have in place now at the university? Or would you have to modify those policies based on the language in the bill?
I would say it's consistent with practice, but we don't have the policies articulated in the way that this bill expects, so that's what we have to
Oh,
develop.
so even though you are paying NIL payments now, you don't have a policy at UH for the things that we cover in this bill?
Not as comprehensive as the bill requests, yeah.
So this bill would actually strengthen your policies by requiring you to adopt the policies consistent with this bill.
Yeah, I think it would strengthen our policies.
Okay. Okay, because I just want to make sure that the student athletes' rights are protected and the public and information is disclosed to the public that does not invade the privacy of the individual students. And the way it's crafted, I'm comfortable with the language in here, and yes, I think the university would have to modify its policies to be consistent. So, other questions, JHA members? If not, I'll turn it back to you.
You wanna roll into decision?
We'll roll into decision making. Yes, please.
Okay, let's move right into decision making on HB 2384 relating to student athlete compensation. Chair's recommendation is to add language to the bill that the funds allocated will, in addition to what is currently established in the bill, will also be used by the University of Hawaii for these NIL payments to student athletes. That language is not currently in the bill, and I just want to make sure that because that's UH's scheme that they're proposing, that the next committee gets comments on that scheme, which I'm not sure they were getting comments on up to this point because it wasn't present in the bill. I also would like to add in the committee report for the next committee to look at the payment scheme that UH is proposing for these direct payments to student athletes and consider whether another scheme, perhaps one that's already been adopted by other universities, might be more conducive to the expenditure of public funds. Members, any comments? Rep. Iwamoto.
Thank you, Chair. I will be voting no based on what we heard here today, that other states are not directly funding NIL. I'm also concerned with separating out student athletes versus other students who have their names, image, and likenesses used on behalf of the university. Also, there are patents that are done through university work. There are other other young entrepreneurs doing things, and so I'm not comfortable with this when there are so many other needs right now in our state.
Okay, members, any other comments from CPC? Okay,
Yeah.
Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on HB 2384 HD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Chun?
Aye.
Representative Ilagan?
Aye.
Representative Ichiyama? Excused. Representative Iwamoto?
No?
Representative Kong?
Aye.
Representative Lowen? Excused. Representative Martin? Excused. Representative Tam? Excused. Representative Pyrick?
Also excused.
Excused. Oh. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. For JHA, the recommendation is the same, pass out with an HD2 with the recommendations that Chair of CPC has just described. And I share his concern that we're passing on this in the standing committee report as well for Finance Committee to look at. Questions or concerns, members? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2384 HD1 with amendments, Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Bellotti.
Aye.
Representative Cochran. With reservations, Representative Hashem is excused. Representative Kahaloa. Aye. Representative Sayama.
Aye.
Representative Takayama.
Aye.
Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
Reservations, Representative Shimizu.
Aye.
Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
We are convening the 205 agenda for the Committee on Consumer Protection and Commerce. It is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. Conference room 329. It's about 2:30-ish. We have a couple items on the agenda today. First one, or two of them are DM. First up, we have HB 644 HD1 relating to single-use plastics. Vice Chair, go ahead.
Hawaii Food Industry Association in opposition on Zoom.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Lauren Zorba, on behalf of Hawaii Food Industry Association, will stand on our testimony in opposition. While we would support a statewide initiative, this bill would essentially ban all available serviceware, including compostable serviceware, because we do not have a composting site to take products on any island currently. Available for questions if you have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Biodegradable Products Institute in opposition on Zoom.
Yeah, hi, this is Michael Doshi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Aloha, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Michael Doshi. I go by my last name, Doshi. I live in Waialua on the North Shore, and I'm here on behalf of BPI, Biodegradable Products Institute, North America's leading certifier of compostable products and packaging. We appreciate the work that has gone into HB 644, and especially the inclusion of PFAS restrictions for reusables and refillable foodware. It is critical that all food contact materials meet the same safety standards. However, we respectfully oppose the bill as currently drafted. As amended, the bill removes compostable food packaging entirely and differentiates between material types in ways that are not grounded in scientific standards. Certified compostable products, whether made from fiber or compostable bioplastics, must meet compost performance standards and are independently third-party certified. BPI's certification uses ASTM D6400 and D6868 standards, while going a step further to strictly prohibit intentionally added PFAS. By excluding certain certified compostable materials while allowing other materials, the bill creates confusion in the marketplace, undermines investment in composting infrastructure, and risks replacing verified non-persistent products with alternatives that may contain persistent additives such as adhesives, dyes, or coatings. If Hawaii's goal is to reduce persistent chemicals and build a zero-waste future, the policy should focus on performance and certification, not material type. We urge the committee to reinsert a clear definition of compostable, required third-party certification that meets appropriate standards, and ensure certified compostables are treated with consistency and remain a viable part of a zero-waste solution. And certified compostable products and composting are essential to divert food waste from landfill, reduce methane emissions, and build healthy soils in Hawaii. And so for these reasons, we respectfully ask the committee to hold or substantially amend the bill. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Mike Ewell, individual in support on Zoom. Not present. Is there anyone else in person or on Zoom who'd like to testify?
Ted Boland on behalf of the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and the Climate Protectors Coalition. I first want to thank the committee. I should have said aloha, Chair Matayoshi and Vice Chair Brendan Eddy and members of the committee. I want to thank the committee for hearing this bill. I think it's an important bill, both in terms of trash and in terms of the PFAS element. I apologize to the committee that whenever I come up here, I'm either talking about cesspools or trash or waste of some kind. And it'd be nice if I could talk about something more positive. But we have real waste problems here, and they certainly extend to foodware. We have trash on our beaches. It doesn't come all domestically, but it would be a big help to get rid of some of it. This is a narrow bill in the sense that it only applies to businesses where food is prepared on premises. It's not water bottles from Costco. It's not most supermarket stuff. We've also put it, the bill has also included a delay until 2028, which gives people some time to transition. There was some testimony that we need to delay until the needs assessment is completed that was passed last year in House Bill 750. That was really for a different purpose, which was to enable the counties to prepare for a more circular economy and not necessarily related to foodware and PFAS. So I would say this is a good bill. I'd like to see it pass. The removal of composting is appropriate, I think, and there are exemptions in there for emergencies and for other things that are necessary for the people who are going to be affected by this bill. So thank you for the opportunity, and I am available for any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other testifiers for HB 644 HD1?
Chair, Vice Chair, Matt Corona, Department of Health, Department of Health Services Division. This bill was previously testified by kind of a different part of our house, which was the solid waste program. When it's transferred under 321, it brings it largely to kind of our house, which is oversees restaurants and food establishments. We sat on a written testimony with comments. We obviously support certain ideas of reducing waste and plastic and impacts on our environment. You know, we support all of those. We do have questions always about implementation and impacts from implementation, such as if we have to test for PFAS or if, you know, how ultimate implementation is given kind of the breadth and the broadness of some of the definitions. Here to answer any questions should you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm Kelly Isegum with Division of Aquatic Resources, Department of Land and Natural Resources. The department stands on its written testimony, basically recognizing the negative impacts of PFAS, but deferring to Department of Health on the implementation of the bill.
Thank you. Any more testifiers for HB 644 HD1? Seeing none, members, any questions? Seeing none, Chair.
Sorry, I have one question for Department of Health, I believe. So I'd actually heard from the bill's introducer that there was that, and Mr. Bolin testified to this as well, or hinted at this in his testimony, that there was some kind of working group or a study or something underway to deal with some of this. Can you kind of tell us about what the study does and when it's meant to conclude?
Yes, Chair. Again, Matt Cronin, Department of Health. You know, that the needs assessment, as it's being referred to, part of the circular economy for waste, is really, again, part of a different part of our house, but I can share a more broad idea of what it is. And as Mr. Bolin may have said, you know, some of the intents were not specifically, I think, addressing, you know, single-use plasticware, but really it's kind of the life cycle and process for waste generation and what's causing it, and what we need infrastructure-wise in order to accommodate these waste streams. That is underway. Again, it's a different part of our house. If you have specific questions, I'll take that back. But in our testimony, we had indicated that it's our preference at Department of Health to kind of let that go forward. It covers some of the products included in this bill, so we feel like once the needs assessment is completed, then we'll have a better understanding of implementation, but also prioritization about what these kind of products are in the waste stream.
Okay, when is that supposed to conclude?
I believe it's in our testimony from the previous one, but next year, if I can correct.
27-ish. Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all. Okay, members, any other questions? Okay, we'll take a brief recess. All right, reconvening. We have one item on the agenda today. Oops. There are 3 items on the agenda today. Two DMs and one new item. So let's start off with HB 664 HD1 relating to single-use plastics. I was in discussion with the bill's introducer. We've decided to go forward with the PFAS ban portion of it, but we're going to be removing the language for basically the rest of it, pending the study. I think if we've already have kind of a working group going forward, we want to see what comes out of that. So we will be limiting the PFAS prohibition to single-use foodware plastics because of the bill title. Amending page 6, subsection C to clarify that the packaging being regulated must contain plastics that also contain PFAS in order to resolve a potential title issue. Deleting language related to the prohibition for plastic foodware, but noting that we are waiting for, I just want to note that we are waiting for the recycling waste working group to conclude. Deleting the word food vendor from page 6, lines 18 to 19 for clarity. And on page 7, adding the word use to line 1 and sale and use to line 3, just again for clarity. Members, any comments? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on HB 644 HD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Chun?
Aye.
Representative Ilagan?
Aye.
Representative Ichiyama?
Aye.
Representative Iwamoto?
Aye.
Representative Kong?
Aye.
Representative Lowen? Excused. Representative Martin? Excused. Representative Tam?
Aye.
Representative Pierik? Excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you, members. We have 2 more items just on decision making only. First up, we have HB 2612 relating to mortgages. We had a lot of discussion on this bill. I think there is some factual question remaining on whether whether a mortgage prior to the 2018 decision by Judge Leonard, whether you could foreclose on a note that had the 6-year statute of limitations run already. We've been in touch with both sides. I'm still kind of waiting for clarity on that. I do want to, since this is the last day, I do want to keep this moving. We're going to advise the next committee though to look into that, and I will personally be looking into it as well, just to save our friends in JHA a little bit of trouble. So Chair's recommendation is to defect the date and keep this moving for now. Members, any comments? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on HB 2612, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Noting the excused absences of, Representatives Lowen, Martin, and Pierik. Are there any noes? Any reservations? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you, members. Last item on the agenda, HB 1782 HD1 relating to artificial intelligence for the protection of minors. Man, AI is scary right now. It's really kind of victimizing a lot of our kids, I think. So very important that we put regulations in place in order to protect especially minors who are much more susceptible to these kinds of manipulations. I do like this bill a lot, and I want to thank the bill's introducer for her hard work on it. I do want to, our Chair's recommendation will be to be amending this to allow OCP to also enforce this bill in addition to the AG's office. I also want to adopt some of the AG's proposed amendments, namely that for HRS placement, transparency and disclosure, and crisis intervention representation. I believe those parts are important. In the committee report, we'll also be suggesting an effective date of July 1st, 2027, which is a little bit later than the original bill intended in order to give AI companies time to implement the change. I am also going to ask the next committee in the committee report to look into whether AI communication is protected by free speech, either at the corporate level or whatnot, and also the implications of that, whether what the AI says and the consequences of that are going to come down on the corporations that are hosting the AI platform. Members, any comments? Okay, Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on HB 1782 HD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments, noting the excused absences of Representatives Lowen, Martin, and Pierik. Are there any noes? Any reservations?
Reservations.
Thank you. Reservations for Rep. Iwamoto. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. We're adjourned.